horrible description.
Sure, fine, we'll restart. Because you had a horrible intro, so clearly we should switch. Hey everybody, the other day we saw Jojo Rabbit. So Aiden, what's the plot of Jojo Rabbit?
Jojo Rabbit is about a young Nazi who imagines Hitler as his best friend. And one day his world is torn apart when he finds out that there's in fact a Jew living in his house secretly because his mom is part of the anti-Nazi force. Connor, what did you think of Jojo Rabbit?
I don't see how your mom was so terrible when yours was like that. I thought it was pretty good. The movie was really funny, which is bizarre to say because you look at a concept like this where the little boy has his imaginary friend Hitler, and it seems like a really odd topic. Like, it's hard to, like, do it right, and they did with the comedy, and I thought the emotional stuff with him kind of realizing that he didn't mind the Jew and Jew girl. I can't even say it. The Jew girl. But it kind of is like how you have to describe it because, whatever. The Jew girl, I don't feel bad about it. When he befriends the Jew girl and becomes more like open-minded to other people and not just believing propaganda. What I'm trying to say is it had some funny moments, it had some heartwarming moments, and it did it all really well. I really like Taika Waititi as a director. He just did a bunch of stuff with The Mandalorian, which we reviewed last time. And, yeah, I really liked the movie. I really liked all the characters. I thought all the acting was pretty great. Scarlett Johansson was good in it. The kid who played Jojo was good in it.
Sam Rockwell is my favorite by far.
Oh, Sam Rockwell was hilarious.
The gay Nazi and his...
That's who he fucking was. He was fucking Hammer Industries in Iron Man 2.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out who he was.
His second in command is the guy who killed John Wick's dog.
Yeah, I remembered that. I could tell that. I had a hard time placing both of them at first, and it pissed me off. Then I was like, oh, John Wick's dog killing guy. I can't figure out who this is.
They were my favorite by far.
Yeah, no,
far
they
and away
were
the
great.
best characters.
And even like Rebel Wilson, who most roles.
I didn't like Rebel Wilson.
I didn't like her that much. I thought she was like the weakest character in the movie. But for Rebel Wilson, I've definitely seen far worse. I don't understand why when people are trying to cast obnoxious fat girl, they pick Rebel Wilson. Because she's actually...
She is the obnoxious fat girl.
But that's the thing. Is if you are that character, you can't make fun of that character.
You know what?
Or she's just so typecasted that you actually think she's an obnoxious fat girl. Maybe she's
hate you and Isaiah so much.
Why?
Because I was going to see Cats, and I was happy with my decision to see it because of the cockroach scene. And then you guys said, go see Black Christmas, it'll be way better. It was some fucking crappy, terrible, 2-hour-long feminist bullshit.
Yeah, you wouldn't have even saw the cockroach scene because they cut it out of the movie.
Didn't you DLC'd it out of the movie?
They DLC'd it. That's the like main thing that proves that you're watching the DLC pack version of Cats. I just thought everything was pretty good about it. There were a couple jokes I thought didn't land. I thought it was weird when Scarlett Johansson was pretending to be the dad. That scene just came off as awkward, kind of. Like, I think it was supposed to be sweet, but that was a weird scene to me.
Rough.
And it was kind of abrupt. And the mom was definitely charismatic in other scenes, but I didn't take her for a crazy psychopath.
Truthfully...
Because I think she was supposed to be seen as, like, strong-willed and level-headed, but then there were certain scenes that portrayed her as a fucking mentally insane person, which I thought was bizarre.
Yeah, the tone shifts...
And especially
the tone shifts in the movie were pretty violent. I mean... I get what he was going for, but it would kind of go from, like, goofy childhood coming-of-age movie to, like, Scarlett Johansson getting hanged in the street. I don't know. The tone shifts were a little... They were rocky.
I would say like probably 80% of the time the tone shifts worked for me, but there were a couple times it was kind of like, what?
Remember when you and Grant Newkirk shit on me for saying the little Jew girl was cute?
What?
Grant said, "Is she 18?" And I said, "I'm not sure." And then you and Grant called me a pedophile for 15 minutes.
What? She played a 20-year-old, so she must have been at least 27 based on movie logic. Anyway,
What were we talking about?
yeah, I liked the little Jew girl too. I liked the arc. It was heartwarming. A lot of the times the tonal shift worked for me, but it was better when they eased it in, where like some scenes were set up as comedy, and then when they did like the stuff that was supposed to be really heart wrenching, like the end I thought was kind of like sweet and worked with the movie since it was kind of coming of age, but the hanging scene was a little awkward.
Yeah, the hanging scene didn't work for me at all.
Especially since like it was immediately basically followed by the battle scene, which was like both supposed to be
the little
serious
fat
but
kid
also
is like running
comical.
around, and the little fat kid's got his little comedy scenes in the battle scene, and then
But then it's also supposed to be
the two gay Nazis have
heart-wrenching.
like their little gay costumes and like with the rainbow flags and
Right.
stuff, and it's like really awkward. I liked Sam Rockwell's character though. I liked the part where Sam Rockwell, they all get captured and Sam Rockwell starts beating on Jojo to get him let out and stuff like that.
I
think
also
that works
kind
a
of
little
because
better
like
than
Sam
all the
Rockwell
stuff.
at the start, he never really like seemed to overtly hate Jojo, but I don't understand why at the end, he like blatantly sacrifices himself from Jojo. He knows that that wasn't really his sister. The Jew girl wasn't really his sister because his sister was dead or whatever. He knew all these things. I don't understand why he protected Jojo. Because I know Jojo worked for him, so maybe you could see something where he kind of like realizes the goodness of man or something as time goes on.
Sam,
but I don't think it was.
I think he was always kind of just like
enough.
stuck in the Nazi job. Like I think they were trying to go for like he doesn't really care about it and he's just kind of forced into it, which is why he just like drinks on the job and acts like an asshole and draws silly costumes the whole time. I don't think they pulled it off particularly well, but
especially because in the open scene, he's like, "I wish I was on the battlefield killing people and shit," and then
it's not pulled off perfectly, but I do like his character because he kind of fits into the world really well because he's kind of like a goofball. Like when he's talking to Jojo, Jojo's like, I'm making a book about the Jews, and he's like, "Look at my costume," and he has like a big rainbow spike and all these feathers and stuff and like this big gay costume. I think he's a funny character.
Right.
I don't think it's pulled off like 100% perfectly. It's a little bit awkward, but I get what they were going for with him being kind of like, you know, you're supposed to kind of think that he's like more invested into it than he is, but he's also just kind of like going with the flow a little bit, I think, is what they were going for. He's just kind of like sticking around. He doesn't really hate anyone, but he's just kind of like doing whatever. And I don't know. They do they do say he's part of like the resistance that Scarlett Johansson was a part of, but I don't know.
They said that in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember where, but I think it's like implied that he was waiting for the notes that Scarlett Johansson got caught passing around or something. I think there's like I think it's just like one throwaway line during the battle scene where it's something like that. I don't remember exactly. That's the impression I got, that he was like part of the resistance as well, which is why he was being so nice.
I didn't think we
to Jojo
really
and
saw
stuff like that.
anything from the rest of the resistance. I guess that makes sense since they seem like kind of close or whatever.
I like to take away tedious Hitler a lot, though.
Yeah, I was actually just about to get into that. I like how he didn't really play a convincing Hitler, but he kind of was like he's like the idolized version of Hitler.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly
he's like
what he
eating
is.
unicorns and stuff, and it's like how a kid would imagine his idol, like how like a kid who's into basketball would imagine Michael Jordan, rather than this evil like dictator.
Well, he doesn't even think of him as like a person. He like Hitler to him is like basically like the coolest person in the world, and he does all these cool things. And every time he talks to Hitler, Hitler's like, I'm eating unicorns and I'm going on these big adventures, and in reality Hitler is kind of just like not good. It's like this idolized version of Hitler, and then eventually realizes that the idolization doesn't really mean a lot and kind of overcomes it. That's kind of the main thing about it.
Mm-hmm. I thought the end of the...
I thought Taika Waititi played it pretty well, though. He was kind of like...
I really liked Taika Waititi and stuff. Like, we really liked him as IG-11 in Mandalorian, too.
Yeah.
Like, I think Taika Waititi can really kill it as an actor, especially for, like, those comedic roles. Like, he's really good. And I feel like something with, like, I also respect he wrote the movie, directed the movie, and he played Hitler. So it feels like with that idea, which I feel like...
It is based on a book, but he did write the screenplay and all that, so...
Right, but I feel like when I mean, it seems like it was definitely, like, his passion project. Mm-hmm. And he probably got the money because he was dude who directed Thor 3. So yeah. I'm guessing, like, it feels like something where from start to finish, he had his idea, he had his concept, and he played Hitler himself because he felt like he was probably, he knew what his vision was. And I felt like that Hitler, if the screenplay wasn't written well enough, if he didn't do such a good job in the role, that could have been something that seriously hurt the movie. So I was pretty happy with the performance overall.
Despite my praise of it, this is going to sound a little weird, but I think a lot of the strongest moments weren't between, like, Jojo and Hitler, or even Jojo and the Jewish girl, although I liked a lot of the moments between Jojo and the Jewish girl, but Jojo and his mom, there was a lot of strong moments there. Mm-hmm. I mean, excluding the kind of awkward scene where she draws the fake beard on herself, like the scene where she ties his shoes together, or the bike scene.
Right, there were a lot of good scenes with a lot of the characters.
Worked really well, where she was kind of, she was somewhat supportive of the way he was. She was understanding of the way he was, but also trying to guide him on a better path at the same time. Right. I think that's probably the strongest point in the movie, even though the other points aren't weak, but I thought that was a part that worked. Well, it makes
sense.
They had a very strong bond.
Obviously, if he was let in on it, he's like 10, so she basically let him just submit to the propaganda. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense, and I felt like that kind of added a little bit of a twist to it, because especially... And another thing I really liked, which kind of ties into what I was going to say, is I really like that opening where he's like running around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like, it's like, this is like some like joyous, wonderful day as he goes to his first day at the Hitler Boy Scouts, basically. Yeah. I liked him being the junk robot too, where he was picking up everyone's scrap metal, and everyone just kind of, there was like no one on the streets because of the war, and he was just kind of wandering around like harassing people for scrap metal because the Nazis were desperate. Mm-hmm. That felt like, kind of like, it was just kind of like a natural, funny moment, really. Alright, Aiden, would you recommend Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, I would recommend Jojo Rabbit. Jojo Rabbit's a pretty nice, small movie about growing up and learning and all them kind of things. Yeah, it's a nice movie. It may be, well, at this point it's probably out of theaters. It might be a little dry for some kind of Sunday afternoon movie, but I think it's also, at the same time, it's a little bit low-key, and I think it's a nice, maybe once it hits like Amazon Prime or something, check it out in a lazy afternoon, you get a little bit of enjoyment out of it, you know what I'm saying? So Connor, would you recommend Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
I worked really hard to not vape this video.